What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the 2022 Halloween Spooktackular. We are going to be talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Ooh.
I've already reviewed the movie. He has not joined me on the review yet, so this is going to be mostly Pat's thoughts. Because he's a massive Ghostbusters fan, but Ghostbusters Afterlife. After Answer the Call,
Yeah.
how'd you feel?
I felt
Refreshed?
refreshed. I felt satisfied. I felt very pleased as a Ghostbusters fan after kind of being a little depressed with the way Answer the Call turned out.
Oh.
When they announced this movie out of nowhere. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I kind of remember
I
that,
was
yeah.
here when they announced it.
Were you here?
I remember I was here. I was like on Twitter, and all of a sudden people were talking about a new Ghostbusters movie, and I was like, "What?" And there was that little teaser of like the Ecto one in the garage.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like that was all we.
Yeah,
knew.
and then did they even have to cast that?
I think they announced that all they said was that Jason Reitman was doing it.
Okay.
And it was like possibly gonna be, or that it was connected to the old movie. So
Okay.
we assumed the old cast would come back.
Yeah, but we weren't 100% sure, especially with
Yeah.
Bill Murray.
Yeah, of course. But the way it turned out, I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a different type of movie, but at the same time still feels like it's in that universe.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it definitely tones back the comedy.
Yeah.
And instead, it's more of like an emotional
Passing of the
family
torch.
Yeah, family drama, passing the torch.
Yeah.
I just thought that was handled so beautifully.
Dude, especially with Harold Ramis, man. Like, spoilers if you haven't seen Afterlife, but I mean, he comes back at the end as a ghost, and his presence throughout the entire film is felt. Because he's moving lamps around, even though you don't physically see him as a ghost.
Yeah, he's haunting the house.
The opening focuses on Egon as well, and it was. I remember seeing that in theaters. I was like, wow, like Egon, like what has Egon got to do with this? Like he's got to factor in somehow. And the way that they wrapped it up, I thought that they honored Harold Ramis's legacy really, really well with as much respect as they could.
Yep.
You know,
I just thought Ghost Egon was done so well, where he looked so good.
Yeah.
And it helped that he was a ghost because you can kind of hide some of the imperfections.
Right.
And it also helped that they didn't have him speak.
Right.
Because I feel like that could have easily
that would have been weird.
disconnected.
That would have been weird.
It was handled just so well.
Yeah.
Like it just looked great. It was beautiful story wise that he came back to help, and just him standing with the other three was just like
yeah. And then it's just like that end where they like all watch him like his like spirit like rise up into the sky, you know. It was just like, yeah. I cried in the theater. I don't cry a lot, but I cried there.
I was weeping when I first saw it.
Yeah, I was too. I think it was the part that got me. I think is when his hand touches the proton.
Yeah, and helps her. Yeah.
Yep, at the first one. Yep.
Yep, and seeing the original three guys back too after all these years.
Winston.
As their proper characters.
Yeah, as their proper characters. Yeah, not as the stupid characters from Answer the Call.
Yeah. So like seeing even like Dan Aykroyd, Ray picking up the phone was like.
See, that was like a scene I wasn't expecting. I remember in the theater, I was like, all right, they're all supposed to be coming back. Like, when are they coming back? When are they coming back? They only show up for like the last 10 minutes of the movie. But you have that scene with Dan Aykroyd earlier on in the movie where he's literally like explaining the whole situation to Phoebe, and then he realizes once she says that she's Egon Spengler's granddaughter, that's when he's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I gotta go do something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great seeing them all back. Bill Murray still has like the Peter like
charm
quips, just go on the count of 3, go on 2, 1, 2. Like so we could have been such a great power couple, but you just had to maim. It was like a murder. Like it was so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, when Winston, I mean, he finally
got his due.
He got his due, and it seems like he's set up to get even more of his due.
Which he should be, because I know that Ernie Hudson's been kind of critical of how he's been handled in these movies.
Rightfully so. I think Winston's always been underused. Yeah. And it seems like Jason Reitman really wants to correct that. Yeah. So I'm expecting Winston to take on like a mentor or benefactor role.
Train Paul Rudd, Ernie, okay?
So yeah, it was just great seeing them again. Seeing, Janine Melnitz again. Yep. That was great. Like, even Sigourney at the very end.
Like, which was crazy because the credits like show her, and then the only scene that, or like show her name, and then the only scene that she's in is the mid-credits scene.
Yeah, with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of the movie, I mean, Phoebe, played by McKenna Grace, she's phenomenal.
Great character.
That was such a
McKenna Grace is great as Phoebe. The character is awesome. I just love how quirky and like weird she is. You know, like she's like Egon. Like, she's obsessed with, like, science, and she's
socially awkward.
Yeah, I love it. Like, I love how they just bring in a different range of, like, characters to be Ghostbusters in this one.
Yeah, Podcast.
Yeah, Podcast is amazing.
He's like the new Ray. He's just like...
he's amazing.
Optimistic and like...
Yeah.
I think the only real downer for the movie for me is I don't think Trevor is that well developed.
No,
I think he's just kind of like the gearhead teenager.
Yeah, like the big brother. Yeah,
even like when he sees Egon at the end, it's kind of like I didn't really feel that he even cared that much about it.
Yeah,
whereas Phoebe was like very much caring about it.
Yeah.
And then Lucky, his girlfriend character, she was underdeveloped.
Like, oh yeah, there's nothing there.
Yeah,
no,
it was just kind of like, oh, okay, she's just.
It was just yeah, they didn't even do like a little like fling or anything.
No, she was just there wasn't really much to her, and I hope if she comes back, I hope they develop.
Yeah, I wonder how they're gonna do that. Since it's probably gonna take place in New York.
It seems like it's going back to New York. I feel like the Spanglers might move back or might move to New York.
Yeah,
maybe maybe they want them to join because they have experience with ghostbusting.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Are we just gonna see like a whole school of Ghostbusters in the next one?
I don't know. I mean, I always thought the series you could franchise it out and you could do all sorts of different locations.
Yeah.
And different, like it's kind of built for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, what did you think about Gozer being the main villain?
This is like my only problem with the movie. Like, I understand why they did it, and I was critical about this in my initial review, and I still am even on rewatch. I just felt like that like. For a movie that honors the legacy of the original Ghostbusters, I'm fine with that. I just think it was a little too on the nose to bring Gozer back and do the exact same thing. Like, if you want to bring Gozer back, fine, but maybe change it up a little bit. For me, it did feel a little too samey. I understand why they did it. Yep. For me, it just didn't work as well as it maybe did for you. Yeah. Because of that reason, where it was like, oh, hey, it's the Keymaster, and I get that that's the lore surrounding... Yeah. Surrounding Gozer and all that. It was cool to see like more stuff with like Ivan Shondor. Yeah. But I just wanted something a little bit different with Gozer if they were going to go down the Gozer route, which they did, and it just felt like a rehash of the first one. That's really my only issue with Afterlife, and I've stated that before in my review as well. Yeah. So
for me, it works because Gozer. Unlike Starkiller Base, for instance, in Force Awakens, it felt like that's a natural way to have Egon go, I have to dedicate my life to stopping this. Yeah. Like, he's seen the danger of Gozer before. Yeah. And I like the idea of, like, the original bad guy facing off against, like, the new people, and then the originals have to come back to face that same bad guy. Right. And for me, there was enough where they didn't do all the same beats with Gozer, where it was like there was no destructor, choose the form of the destroyer. Like, there wasn't that. It was more of like Gozer's, the form we're most used to seeing Gozer. Yeah. And even like they didn't like just send Gozer away this time. It was like, they legitimately trapped it, and that's which was the buried traps is such a cool twist. Like, I know. My only other really issue with this one, which is the one thing I give Answer the Call over this movie.
What's that?
Is that this movie didn't have enough ghosts.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Especially when all the ghosts get released and stuff.
Yeah, because it's only really Muncher, right?
You see Muncher, and then when all like the ghosts come out of the mountain, you see like there's one like miner dude at the diner. Yeah. And then there's like one like one-eyed guy chasing people down the street. And I would expect there to be like a bunch of ghosts.
Yeah, especially when you look into that well when
they're all flying around the mountain. I'm like, I wanted a bit more ghost busting. Yeah. But like that's fine. Like hopefully in the sequel, if there's something wrong with the containment unit as they're hinting toward, then maybe what I'm really hoping for with the way they set this up is they go back to New York. The containment unit hasn't been being properly taken care of for a long time, so maybe the ghosts inside are like stronger, or maybe there's something inside of there that's like worse than what we've I don't know, but I feel like this movie was a nice send-off to Egon.
For sure.
It was a nice way to bring back that classic feeling Ghostbusters universe. And I just feel like they did a good job of capping off this section and then setting up the future, which is I think what their goal was let's broaden Ghostbusters.
Right. Like, I feel like they learned their mistake from Answer the Call.
Right. If they had mixed Answer the Call with more of this stuff, it might have been a lot better. Yeah. Like, if you had made one of the girls in it, like, Egon's granddaughter or Egon's daughter. Like, you could have done a similar type of
right.
and it would have worked out. A movie, I should say, a franchise like Ghostbusters needed a passing the torch movie.
Yeah.
And this is what that was, and I think it did a great job with that.
Yeah. There's certain ways passing of the torch has to work, and Force Awakens did it pretty well. This did it pretty well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Those are probably the two prime examples.
I mean, got Cobra Kai.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen a lick of Cobra Kai yet. Yeah, Creed. Yeah, Creed. Honestly, yeah, Creed. Passing of the torch.
There's some really good legacy sequels, and I think Ghostbusters Afterlife is definitely a good one.
Yeah, what would you give Ghostbusters Afterlife on it?
I'd give it probably like an A-, maybe A-,
okay.
B+.
Yeah, I'm probably going A-.
I prefer it to Ghostbusters 2.
I do too.
Just because I think there's more there.
Yeah.
As much as I enjoy Ghostbusters 2, this movie has a lot more heart than that one.
I think there's a lot more going on in this one too. Like it does have that like a little bit like slow pace like Ghostbusters 2, but there's enough there I think to keep you engaged.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the opening where it's like, oh, like that pulls you in like right away. Yeah. You know. Yeah, I'll probably go A-, full bucket of popcorn as well. I don't think that rating has changed from my original review. It's mostly just I feel the same about the movie as I have in that original review. Just that one issue with Gozer.
So you're the guy who wants Vigo back. I'm like, no, new villain.
Janos.
If Janos comes back, I'm good with that. I'll bring Oscar the baby back.
Yeah,
he's all grown up.
Yeah, he's all grown up. Yeah, sure. Why not? So where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ThisPatGuy and on YouTube at Agamotto.
All right, you can find me on my official website, alexmaddenmovies.mystrikingly.com. All my social media links are there. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching the Ghostbusters Spooktackular Bustathon.
That's a great name, actually. Ghostbusters 4.
We spent all day watching all 4 movies. So
it was amazing.
It was quite the trip.
Next time we'll only do all 3, though.
Yeah. You don't need to watch it. So if you've seen it, you're done.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.